All right.
What's going on?
Welcome back to the Shaw Brothers podcast for the first time for 12 months or whatever the hell it's been.
2 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. How's everybody doing? What a beautiful day here in January.
Beautiful audience.
Beautiful. Oh, the best. The best audience. No better audience. No bigger audience has ever been seen.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Let's not do that.
Definitely not. All right. Well, we're going to be a break from all that stuff. It's 2025.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Whee!
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. The Buckeyes won the championship. That's something exciting.
I love it.
We're excited about that.
Yeah.
We're obnoxious Ohio State fans. Well, I am, but Chris isn't.
I'm not.
But
I like it. It's fine.
He's a Crew fan.
Yeah.
Go Crew.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a great coach. Nazi.
For the Crew?
His name's Nazi.
His name's Nazi? Oh, no.
That every time they say it. No, it is.
Is
not
it?
Nazi. It's not spelled N-A-Z-I. It's spelled
jeez.
not Z-C or something like that. It's a Spanish name of some sort. But anyways, he's a great coach. We're lucky to have
I thought
him.
he was like from Africa.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that.
Anyway.
Let's roll that back. Cut that out.
I can't remember.
He might be from Africa.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not big enough of a fan.
I'm not sure, but it's definitely not a inappropriate name.
But the games are
They're great.
super fun. I have been to a couple.
Well, we are the Shaw Brothers. We play music. If you haven't listened to this or not, shockingly, I know they let us do it. We had a long year last year. We kind of fell off on our podcast a little bit because we are always super busy, but now we are super not busy. So
Right.
if you need music, we're free. We're very free.
Yeah. We did the tour, the Andy Shaw Band tour.
Yeah, we did a tour in October.
You just got back?
I just did a little small solo run / exploratory mission down to Florida and South Carolina and played a couple shows at some cool spots, Fat Cats again, and Alwyn Dog Green, which is always awesome in Charleston, South Carolina, and another little place called The Dinghy, which was really fun. Just little solo acoustic things, just trying to get out, meet some people, and try to figure out how to do this thing. So, in the wintertime for us musicians, it's really dead here in Ohio. So I went down there, and everybody's asking you, why are you down here? I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, there are seasons.
Yeah, right.
And
why do they ask that, though?
Because they don't know.
Just like, what?
Well,
like you're from far away, basically, is what that
Yeah, like, why are you all the way down here? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. People just don't really like get what we do. And, believe me, people understand it very little. And we understand it very little half the time. We just know, like, hey, there are some opportunities to play some music down here that pay us some money, and we can, hopefully further that cause. Like here in Columbus, when we started playing music, it was like, let's find a place that will let us play music for money in the very beginning.
Yep.
And it was one place, that Clawed Out Irish Pub, which doesn't even exist anymore. And then we did that every week for a while. And then before you knew it, you had another gig you found. And then before you knew it, you had a whole month full of shows or performances, paid performances. And so that's why you're down there. You're just trying to find strategic places that you can do what you do, beyond your limitations of where you're from. I mean, for instance, if we lived in just for an example, a touristy place in Florida, let's say Key West or Fort Lauderdale, we would be playing every night of the week all year round because there is no season there. I mean, there is obviously a tourist season there, and there's a hot season and a cooler season, but for all intents and purposes, the music and the culture and all of those types of things, whether it be local or tourist based, they continue year round, like period. Like I was at, it was cold and it was 70 degrees in Fort Lauderdale. And the bar I played at was packed, with young people wearing clothes that are like summer clothing, So there's some kind of, we can't as musicians ignore the culture of which we are somewhat dependent on, or the climate, not, I guess the climate obviously, but just the general,
like all the culture.
All these things that make up our ability to do the things we do for a living. Yeah, we can't ignore that. And so for me, that's why going to a place like Florida or even like Texas or California, places that are warm weather states, when it's freezing here, like just makes sense. It's like, well, duh.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you want to be able to play music when it's January, February, December, you know.
Right. They're probably thinking, this is my local place, and I see probably local bands at these places.
Somewhat.
So they're like, well, you're a foreign. And they don't know who we are. So they're
somewhat,
like,
yeah.
If they knew who we are, they'd be like, I know why you're here.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like my goal is to go down to those areas where people do know me. You know,
Right.
You know, I feel like we're just at
That's the goal.
very beginning of that journey again. But like, you know, I'd rather be playing at traditional venues where it's ticketed and people are like, I know your songs, I want to listen. You know, that's the goal. You know, that is somewhat a goal, but we've always said in the meantime, I'm not going to like wait around for that to happen. I'm going to like forge my own path.
No, but no one can't. No one does, I don't think.
Yeah, you can't. You just gotta you know, I think I learned that a little bit on this trip, that there's a humility built into what we do that you have to have. You know, you can't be embarrassed when somebody's paying you money to like play at a place that you're thinking, oh, is this my idea for how I want to present my art or not?
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to somewhat say, hey, you know, actually, one, they hire me because I have the skill to do this job, right?
Yeah.
Two, it is a job.
Right.
There is a service I'm providing.
It's more service work at our level.
In that space, in those types of spaces, it is. It definitely is. And then, you know, like we play a show at like, I don't know, like a place like Rambling House or Rumba here in town, like venues here. And that's where we get more of our, we can be more of a
music fans and stuff.
Right. Like, oh, I'm here to hear you do you. You know? But it's interesting. But
well, I just listened to that Tiger Belly, and they said the same thing about acting. Like,
yeah,
Bobby Lee was in this movie, and he's like, "Why were you in that?" And he's like, "Because show business. You don't just decide to be in show business.
Yeah,
you take the ShamWow guy's job that he gives you that you saw on the street, and and you do the movie, and it sucks, and it's horrible, and later you ask to be out of the movie."
I tell you, yeah.
But that's because you got to do what you got to do, and it's stand-up comedy. I mean, that's got to be harder.
Right. And he talks about, I relate so much to what he says all the time about like, you just don't stop. You don't give up ever. And then, you know, I mean, what's the alternative, you know?
I know. Well, I've been working a job.
Yeah.
Setting up chairs and tables and polishing silverware. And
nothing wrong with that.
Talk about being humble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Humbled. But also at the same time empowered, because I'm like, I can do music. I can make the same amount of money in 3 hours that I make in 11 hours.
Right. Well, right. I mean,
I'm lucky.
There's freedom in what we do. And the freedom doesn't mean that those 3 hours is where you're earning the wage. It means all the hundreds of hours you've practiced and written the music or learned the song or, you know, practiced the instrument. That's where...
where all that comes.
That's where that work comes in, but we just happen to love that work, you know.
Yeah, and you're showing up to a job and you're only there for a couple hours, and then you see all the staff like, you know, throwing the trash away and stuff, and I'm like on the other end of it, like, oh man, this is weird. I
feel like that every time we've ever played weddings. I feel that way. I feel like we're part of that crew, you know. Like I personally, I have always identified with service industry workers just because. That industry to some extent is all about putting on a face of like, you know, hi sir, how can I help you? You know, but the behind the scenes, there's a reality, you know, to like how challenging, difficult, stressful, hard,
long hours,
underappreciated, underpaid, all these things.
Back hurts, all that.
Yeah. It's stressful work, and it's a lot of like what we also endure, you know, as far as, you know, a lot of those same qualities and principles, you know. Everybody looks at our job in a certain light that isn't really quite the truth.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the Grammys.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then you get the other hate on the other side.
Well, right. And then that's a whole other thing, you know.
Oh, you're successful. You think you're better than me?
Right. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, this TikTok thing was very interesting for me because just TikTok like kind of going away and then how it came back, obviously. But beyond all that, just during that time, a lot of people were on TikTok talking about, or have been talking on TikTok about the philosophy of this what happened, it going away, what it actually does and what it means for people and stuff. It's very interesting because I'm not sure how I feel about it either. I think it serves a specific, there's so many ways I feel about it. Cause it's clearly popular culture. It clearly has helped a lot of people's voices get out there, and it's also misinformed a lot of people. It's also done a lot of damage and bad things. It's also I care less about my information, I guess, being out there. But that's just a personal thing because I'm I don't care. If it's all out there, what can what can be done? But whatever, that's another thing. So I don't know. But as far as an artist goes, I've seen how music has utilized TikTok and other social media platforms that kind of emulate or simulate or have to be adjacent to it because of it, kind of thing. I've seen these artists, build their platform, and for a lot of these artists, it's man, would you have as much success as you do right now if it wasn't for that? A
lot of them wouldn't.
And I
Teddy
know
Swims is number one in my mind.
Exactly.
He just did it, and he did covers,
right.
and he did it.
And then for me, I'm not terrified of it. A matter of fact, I'm trying to get my head wrapped around us getting into that, which more out of there's a freedom in sharing your expression, your art through platforms like that is enticing because it costs nothing. Costs us nothing to do it.
Right. Monetarily, no.
Right. We can sit here right now and record a video of us playing music, and that is free.
Right.
I mean, the cameras aren't free, but
sure.
You know what I'm saying. And sometimes I think for artists, that's a more authentic experience we're able to deliver than something that we ever get day to day in our performance life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, you've got people listening.
Right.
There might be 1,000 people that swipe. Who cares? I don't know. But there might be one person that stops and listens.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's, I don't know. It's
it's true.
I've thought a lot about just what I would want out of that world. Not out of it, but how I would want to put myself in that world, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't done too much with it.
Yeah.
It's there. It's a tool.
It's a tool.
And I don't know how to think about it or feel about it.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah. I don't know if anybody does. I mean, I know it's back, and we'll see how it continues. I just,
Is it owned by somebody else now? I don't think
no,
it is.
It's not. It's still Chinese owned, same company that built it, but
shady.
I'm kind of wondering how it'll affect things moving forward, because the misinformation stuff is what really gets me. Just as somebody that
disinformation.
Miss and dis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the dis is even more.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of intentional, where misinformation's I didn't know. Disinformation's this is the truth, but it's not.
Well, that's because they're misinformed a lot of the times.
But I mean, from people in power.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Use a lot, and then re-editing or whatever.
For sure, for sure. It. Well, that's, as somebody that studied in a
media, right?
kind of adjacent field to news journalism, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying I was a news journalist, but I took all those classes because I went to school for writing and producing for television.
Yeah.
So we studied all those things.
Ethics and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my best class I ever took was a class in college that was it was an independent producing class. That's the best way to explain it. And basically, the class was run by a guy that's totally or down the middle, WOSU, PBS, documentarian type guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. It was so great. And we just studied propaganda, and we studied.
Wow.
So we would watch commercials. Regular commercials, and analyze everything that's going on. What they're trying to message you on, and to you, how they're trying to message to you.
That's great.
We would literally watch the news, clips of the news, for 45 minutes, and just, okay, what do we got here?
That needs to be an elementary school class.
Yeah, I agree. Well, at the time, things weren't like they are now. It was 2004.
And a college class, yeah.
But we did that. We would look at magazines. We would look at everything was about analyzing information and
That's great.
not one, like how it's delivered,
right?
What's being delivered? Is it true? Who, what the sources are?
Yeah.
It was my favorite class by far, just because I learned a lot about, we studied all of the people we went down to the level of saying, okay, who owns all of these TV channels?
Yep.
Right. Who's the owner of CBS? Right.
Yep.
And then we'd find out who it was. It was like Clearcom or whatever, all these big corporation media companies at the time. Now they're even bigger, but at the time that owned all these, you could see like all these things. Like you say, Fox News, oh, they're owned by this. Oh, NBC, oh, they're owned by and you go down and then you could see all the other things they're invested in. Oh, they actually own a subsidiary of this car company.
Yep.
That produces, and that company owns, and you can go down like such a rabbit hole, but it's very interesting. The greed, wealth, and power that exists in media companies. And,
yep.
But anyways, objective news. That's why objective news journalism and ethical objective news journalism is so important. Getting really reliable, not clickbait sources, just like actual like boring news.
Yeah.
Give me the boring news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been trying to just get off social media completely.
Yeah,
really.
Smart.
Which is funny because you said you're trying to get into it more. I'm like, I'm trying to get out of it more.
I know.
But just actually practice the, like, one, being still, looking at the sky, and also just, like, reading news and being like, okay, I read an article that was in-depth about this subject. I don't know you could look into who wrote it, but then you can be like, okay, there's a lot of information that's not black and white. And it's just like, okay, how do I feel about that? Because it's so easy now to pick a camp, Well, right. And it's like, I don't want to be that person. Oh, all the liberals care about this, and that's how we're supposed to feel about it.
Of course not.
I don't want to do that.
Of course not.
And I think it's really easy to be, and really dangerous to be. I feel like that's the rabbit hole we're going into. Is like, oh, well, we all support that now. What? No.
Well, yeah,
I don't.
Of course. Well, and I think
it's nuanced.
I think we're actually going into a little slightly different time than that, personally. But I do think that is true to some extent. But I also think we're going into this space that's, and I'm probably going to watch this in 4 years and be like, oh, I was totally wrong. But that there's kind of a numbness and to people that aren't in support, and obviously maybe not on the other side, but just speaking from my perspective, it's like there's this numbness, which I think is gonna like evolve itself into. I really do think it's gonna evolve itself into like an action. I think what we're gonna start seeing is more well-educated people that are more passionate. I think running for elected positions, I think that, I really think that because we're in this weird place right now, where baby boomers are kind of starting to, be the elderly now.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like, we're in this place right now where like the baby boomers are kind of getting into that older generation, which just purely by that means that we need to get younger people involved in politics.
Of course, yeah.
Of all ages and demographics and races, religions, creeds, all the things,
Yeah.
I think personally, with like very little, evidence, I'm not trying to spread any kind of misinformation, but I'm just saying I think that's where we're going to head. I believe that. I hope for that.
Yeah.
It might not be. But I'm kind of curious to see where things go, I think there's a level of brass, like for every human, I think there's a level of which things get pushed too far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, when criticism of somebody wanting all people to deserve compassion and empathy, like I think when there's criticism of that, I think you're going to find that that's not a message that people, the general population, want or like,
What does that mean?
So like, in other words, the message of saying that not all people deserve equality,
right? Just
as a general overarching theme.
Yeah.
I don't think is a popular opinion.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I just don't think it is. I really don't believe that.
Right.
And those are issues that are larger than some of the more minute issues that are happening. In other words, they're issues that are like, these are to the core of our soul.
Yeah,
issues.
humanity.
Yeah. So I believe that. And I think that's what's going to, you know, I'm just hoping, you know.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm doing my, you know, staying informed and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And anyways, we can move on from political talk. Sorry.
Yeah.
But what else is going on in your life? When is the next musical thing you're doing? Where are you playing? Why are you? Why?
Well, I basically started like getting out there and just like volunteering and just doing stuff. I mean, because, you know, things in November that happened. Yeah. I was like, I need to like go do stuff and be active, and we're less active, so that's natural anyway. So I'm like, where can I put my money where my mouth is and be of service for other people? So I just, you know, in a way, and also for myself to selfishly to look out for other opportunities. Yeah. And utilize my skills that I actually have. So started volunteering at this chamber music connection in Worthington under Debbie Price, who I took. I was in that group when I was like 10 years old. Were you in that group?
I don't know.
Chamber music connection in Worthington.
No, I wasn't in chamber music. I was in Columbus. I played violin in the below junior strings.
Yeah. So at the time, similar time, I was in chamber music, so I just started volunteering. I saw her at Natalie's, and she was like, "Hey," I was like, "I was in your program." She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Music." What else would I do? And so it was really cool. And I was like, she's awesome. She's still the director. This is 30 years later. So I was like, can I come by? And
that's great.
She was like, yeah. So I started shadowing kind of there. Same exact building. Same exact little groups. I'm like, this is weird. And I'm like, oh man, I learned all this stuff when I was a kid. Yeah. Because she teaches the kids how to rehearse. Yeah. She teaches them they have their own groups. It's not an orchestra. It's a small groups. They're literally like a quintet, a quartet, a trio. There's mostly strings, but there's like clarinet and stuff in some of them. Mm-hmm. And she teaches them how to like be their own little entities. I was like,
that's good.
This is all stuff you just don't think about when you're a kid. It's like, I remember I learned all this stuff from here. Well, probably part of it.
Yeah.
And so a couple weeks later, I went to a couple sessions. She's like, well, I can hire. I was basically like, can you hire me? So she was like, yeah. So
like hire?
I mean, yeah, I'm working basically, it's essentially a part-time job at this point. That's
great.
But yeah, so
talk about being your own little entity.
I know. I mean, it's great.
You worked your way in there.
I know. I mean, really, it's like the dad approach. Just show up.
Yeah.
So last week I coached 3 workshops.
Wow.
And,
that's great.
It's kind of putting me to the fire, my feet to the fire. So I did that. I told her,
Okay. Sorry.
I told her I could help with social media, with some marketing and some graphic design and some,
fantastic.
So I'm doing some of that stuff.
That's great.
Just kind of finding my feet. And then I'm doing the Columbus Cultural Orchestra, which a friend of mine also is kind of, she's like the director. So I was like, just showed up and they hired me for that too.
That's great.
I mean, it's not like huge. They're not big jobs or anything, but it's just work,
Yeah, I
mean, I want to be doing that work. So
I don't think there is, when it comes to, I don't know,
I would like it to be like a salaried position.
Oh yeah, you mean it more that way. I was going to say because I think that's important work.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's all work we're doing anyway, and
Well, have we ever talked about the Youth Symphony on this podcast? I don't know if we have.
I don't think so.
I have no idea. So it's been a minute.
I'll tell you what I thought. Like what I'm learning is like.
Yeah.
All these kids are here and they have a purpose,
Yeah.
They have a purpose. They're all there together. None of them are on their phones. I mean, like, a little bit on the break time, right? A little bit
on the break time, yeah.
But they're not. They're not on their phones. It's not noticeable at all.
Yeah.
They're all playing music. They're all together. They're all...
Yeah.
The cultural orchestra, I mean, there's a woman from Russia in it. There's, like, Indian, Chinese, like, black... I mean, it's just really cool. And they're all good, great kids. Yeah. Everybody across the board. Some of them are in private school. Some of them are, And they have a purpose. They have a language. They have... I mean, they're doing classical music. It's kind of cool.
I actually love that.
It's made me really reignite this...
Right.
Like, you
I love it.
You have your experiences with classical music as a kid, but I'm like, man, this is cool.
I think it's great because like we grew up in orchestra and band and all that stuff. And I think you were saying like all these people I just think that the orchestra is such a good alternative to, and maybe alternative isn't even the right word to use. I was going to say alternative to sports, but really more, it's such a good option to have in addition to sports and chess club and the journalism club or the photography, whatever club or programs. And, I would say that the orchestra and, the band, these communities that kids go through in high school, elementary school, middle school, whatever, they're not only important, they're like refuges for a lot of is that the right word? Refuge?
It's a refuge.
It's a refuge for a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. It was for me. And, creative thought. Like how often do you get to think creatively and critically?
In school.
Like in a way that is so unique and specific. I don't know. I just think about that. Like I survived elementary, middle, and high school because of band and orchestra, period.
Same, yeah.
And also like, we got to travel to Canada one time in the orchestra, and we went all over the place with the brass band, the all-star brass band, and the youth jazz, and all these groups. We were always doing things all over the place. So, but like you said, like it's a good place for good kids to not have to worry about, to have a unified thing they're all doing together.
Yeah, and working toward.
It's team building too. It's like so many things,
Right.
I remember orchestra, it was like all the smart kids were in.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of smart kids. Like over here like, these kids are all going to Harvard. I'm just like trying to get a scholarship here.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm good at.
Well, that's the cultural orchestra is nice because it's not like elitist.
Yeah.
It's not like it's
not an elitist.
It's literally like I think it's literally the opposite structure.
Yeah.
It's like when we went, you pay fees to go to the thing and be taught. Yeah. This is the opposite. It's like I think they actually get paid.
Oh, that's cool.
So the kids get paid to do gigs.
That's great.
I don't know if they get paid to rehearse, but like they might, which is crazy. Yeah. It's literally the opposite.
What a cool program.
It is. And so you don't have to... In the audition, we actually read it today because I was meeting with a friend. She was looking it up. She said the audition is 2-octave scale.
Wow. That's it?
That's it.
Wow,
and great. I think it was like sight reading. And like it was
like
very...
in every key or just...
No.
Just a scale?
Any scale.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, it's really... It's great because you don't want to be...
Who the heck... I mean, come on. This is great.
You don't want to be elitist, That's how it should be.
Right. I mean... You don't want to be elitist, but you also don't want to exclude kids that maybe need this program too. It's like,
right.
I don't know. There's just so many things to it that are really cool. I mean,
I understand it on the capitalism side of like, well, I have a business and I need kids to pay so I can run the thing. I get it.
But there's a space for all kids, it sounds like.
It's really cool.
Because like, and that's like this, like similar but different than sports, right? Like, there in the sports thing, there's an inherent like only the best get to play, right?
Right.
Even if you make the team, if you're not the best, you're not playing, right? So like, maybe 5 to 7 kids play on the basketball team, or 5 to 8 or 9, whatever it is, out of a school. In band and orchestra, every kid played. You just have a second or third part.
Right.
Right.
That's how this is structured.
Right.
So
which is cool because it's like. I mean, especially if like the stronger players can uplift the weaker players, right?
Yeah, and the young kids or the ones that aren't as experienced,
right? They
play third violin or they double the whatever.
Right, but everybody has an opportunity, and
I
don't know. There's something kind of altruistic about that appeals to me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and there's merit to both formats of like of auditioning in and like whatever, but I do enjoy the aspect of like, everybody plays, everybody's welcome. Yeah. I mean, they want to be there,
Yeah, they want to be there.
They should be able to be there.
Right.
So it's been really fun for me.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Well, what else is going on? We have, do we have anything else exciting coming up or anything exciting coming up?
Any new songs? Any New Year's goals?
Got some new songs. I've been writing a lot, which is good. I'm working on that. I'm trying to Trying to start getting some videos put out, acoustic videos. That's been good. I have like a big plan for that. But that is just about having the time, the space, and energy, and all the things. But now's the time to do it because we're not super busy. But so looking at that, I'm going to do a little more traveling. Probably maybe try to get to Nashville and spend a weekend there and see what's going on down there. And yeah.
What was the tour like?
It was good. It was very solitary, way different than our band tour, obviously. I was by myself. So a lot of time by myself and not a lot of talking, just singing. And it was good. I mean, I really like...
Did you see Andy Shaw?
We have some good people. Huh?
Did you see Andy Shaw?
I got to hit him up. I did not see him. I didn't see anybody I knew from last time, but I did see... I did meet a lot of Ohio people, as you always do everywhere you go.
Always, yeah.
It's like we can't get away from Ohio. Yeah. And, you know, the Allwindaw guy is great. Eddie at Allwindaw is such a good guy. And such a unique, cool venue where they're just like really supporting community and art.
Yeah.
And gathering and all these things that
South
are just...
Carolina?
Yeah, it's just in Charleston. But it's just such a cool vibe. And they're so welcoming and kind. And,
that's cool.
And they're, you know, it's like a place that I'm like, oh, cool. I'm glad I found this place. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's literally not about money or anything there. It's just about, oh, this is an authentic, unique spot that I would want to come back to. And so that's good. And obviously Fat Cats is always great. It's a totally different type of a vibe, but they're very supportive there. I really appreciate that. And the Dinghy was cool. It was a new spot. And I had another gig booked, but it kind of fell through a couple weeks before I went, and I just didn't have time to get something else. So, but I'm going to go back down. Maybe, I know we're going down in, I think, March to play some shows with ASB. And I might try to find another time, April or May, to go down. I really want to go to St. Pete and that region and try to start finding gigs there, because that's a totally different vibe than Southeast Florida. And we have some friends there. And but I'm just trying to... What I would love to do is like build a tour where you can go from Charleston all the way down south, like around Florida, come back up the other side, go through like Tallahassee, Destin, then you're into like New Orleans, and then you're into like Texas. So like just do the coast, the southeast coast, and get down to Austin. I think that would be really fun, but just kind of trying to build some connections and, you know, other bands. Yeah, it's like all the things I want to do are possible, but they're expensive. It's like, okay, we got to plan for 2 weeks. Got to get musicians that can do that, and, you know, money and lodging and all this stuff. So
yeah, a lot of planning.
Yeah, and a lot of planning. But you know, if nobody's gonna do it for you, I'm gonna do it for myself.
Yeah.
What else is coming up? Let's see. We have a couple. We're about to release a new single for Andy Shaw Band, New Outrage, which is a track we recorded before COVID. Very excited about that. It's actually been mastered. It's done. It's ready to go. I just have to decide on a release time for that. And it's a good song to put out now. It's a lot of... I mean, I wrote it a very long time ago. So it was during the like Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin incident, like killings, you know, murders. And it's about a lot of the social justice, you know, it's needed in the country at that time and now still. So, I mean, it was written before George Floyd, and it's rings more true than ever, you know.
Yeah.
For me, you know, my perspective and stuff. So, anyways, that one's going to be coming out soon, and then we've got like 2 or 3 more. Well, we've got like 5 more songs in the tank that are ready to go out. And then 2 more new songs that we just got to finish. So we got a lot of Andy Shaw Band stuff going on.
What are the 2 new?
Emotional Rebirth and Remedy Love. They're both.
Oh yeah.
They're both pretty much. I just got to record vocals and lead guitar, and I think that's about it. There might be a couple other production things that I do, but those ones are close.
Are you mixing them, or is?
I don't know yet.
I mean, like all the stuff.
Well, Tony's been mixing it
and
handling that.
Tony Rice.
But I'm starting to do a little bit more now myself, because I have a Apollo now, so
yeah.
I can start doing more mixing and more producing, which is really I'm more of a producer. That's really more of where my strengths lie.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get more into that realm with what we're doing. And my goal is to put tracks out quicker. Quite honestly. Yeah. The industry's changed. It's not about albums as much as it used to be. Now it's more about singles and putting them out quick. And we can do all that now without having to go pay for a really expensive studio.
Right.
I mean, although I'd still love to do that, it's a lot easier to produce it and record it at home because I have a studio here anyway. So
right.
So yeah.
Yep.
That's what's going on. What about your band? What's going on with Topher James?
We got a Rambling House gig May 10th.
Oh, nice.
May 10th.
Yeah.
Which is a multi-band bill, which is kind of fun.
Cool.
Playing with some young cats.
Nice. The Young Cats.
The Dairy Family Band.
Oh, Dairy Family Band.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's Dairy Family.
Are they a dairy?
They're a band.
Are they a dairy farmer?
I don't know. I don't know why that's their name.
All right.
Good guys. I've met some of them, and then this woman Josie McGee. I don't know how you Josie.
Okay.
Anyway, she's from I think Cleveland. Killer.
Oh wow.
Really, really impressive.
Awesome.
So check her out on wherever streaming.
Yeah.
I was just listening to her record like multiple times this week. I'm like, this is.
Yeah.
These young people know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I'm excited. She's like an acoustic. I think she's going to be acoustic opener. But that was set up by my buddy Nico, who's in the Dairy Family, and he's going to be playing drums with us that date because Ty's not available. But yeah, excited to kind of do some Biscuit Brigade shows because I just haven't done any.
Yeah. Well,
try to do a couple.
We're trying to find stuff. Obviously, you know that with ASB as well, and it's hard. It's hard to find. There's a lot of great stages in Columbus, but unless we're bringing the amount of people we need to bring and putting the work in to bring those people and la-di-da-di-da, we're not even making enough to, leave the house sometimes.
Yeah.
Which
you want to make it worthwhile for you and for the venue.
For you, the venue, and your musicians, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. That relationship is hard. I'd love to see some of the resources that Columbus has, help that scenario a little more, help the venues that can't get enough crowds, that have to shut down, or the bands that are great but don't have an audience yet, I'm hoping there's some solutions there that can help reinvigorate the community of our ever-changing music community here in Columbus. Because there's a lot of I feel like right now we're split between the old guard and the new guard right now, as far as we're kind of in that middle age and older crowd, and then there's that 20-something to 40-something crowd. And so yeah, anyways.
There used to be, the Columbus Alive, and they would have these big shows in the 614.
Right. And CD 1025, which
I mean, literally.
Anymore.
So
literally.
I talked to Walker from Columbus Underground, and he's like, I'd like to do something. So we should
pair up with him.
We should chat with him.
I love Walker. I think he really has a reach that is rare in this town right now.
Who else is doing
non-existent almost, as far as a kind of, you call him kind of a media outlet of
media
sorts.
Company,
local media company that also does produce shows.
They put on events.
They did the Columbus Comedy Fest
and the Columbus Coffee Festival.
Right, and the Coffee Fest, and they do all kinds of things all the time. So
yeah,
we should definitely talk to him.
We should, because he wants to do it.
Yeah, it would be great to find,
Walker,
honestly,
shout out.
Yeah, Walker, shout out.
Give us a call.
Don't worry, you'll see this on TikTok when it comes up on your algorithm.
He's like, huh?
Yeah, well, I see his algorithm comes up all the time. The food reviews are great.
The guy that they have,
Oh, he's great. Yeah. I don't know who that guy is, but he's funny.
He's hilarious. He's funny. Jesse, I think his name is.
They went to that, what is the something palace? What is it called?
Spaghetti Warehouse?
No, it's over on Henderson Road, over by
Bowling Square Bowling Palace.
No, the other direction, past 315. What is it called? We went there because we saw the review. It was really good.
What was it?
I can't remember. I'll link it in the bottom here, but I can't remember. Something Palace or, man, what was it? Anyways, dead air. But man, their reviews are so good.
Yeah, he does a good job.
So yeah, that's the thing. We need people to team up with, because we have done the organizing in the past and like I said, we will always do that stuff, but it's way better to partner with people. It's way better to have a community of help.
Yeah.
And we know a lot of people in this town that are passionate about arts that are kind of adjacent to music, and we're here. We're here to be let me lead the role of bump, 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 and you do the other stuff. That's kind of where we are.
Shaw House Productions.
Yeah, well, like the reality is, it's not even about that. Like my goal, and I do talk about this all the time. It's like I really yearn for this community growing and being more stable and more flourishing. I just want it to flourish. I mean, we have lived through a lot of eras of Columbus arts as a band and as musicians that
we're still here.
A lot of people don't know, Blues Station. Does anybody remember? Who remembers Blues Station?
Right.
Like, and I know there's people obviously older than us that know way more. I mean, the 80s, if you look at the rock and roll scrapbook from Columbus, the 70s and 80s, when like Bob Seger was playing at that venue right next to Oldfields on 4th, nobody knows that stuff. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
That was a place. I think it was called like Sugar Shack or something. But it was like Bob Seger played there in the 70s, and now if you drive by it, it looks like a bunch of abandoned apartments.
That's crazy.
And we have such a strong rock and roll history in Columbus, but who are the people that protect that, right?
Yeah.
Because like the Dan Dugans of the world and
the Randy Malloys
and these other folks that are sometimes pushed out or sometimes age out or sometimes get defeated super unfortunately and unfairly a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like who is the next
the cheerleaders, yeah.
Who's the next group of people to come up and say, and obviously there are people doing great work, like Natalie's doing great work. Obviously, Rambling's doing great work.
Yeah.
Woodlands is always, Steady Freddy. I love them, and Rumba's got they've got a new vibe there, obviously, like with the new ownership and stuff. And I love that spot. I mean, but in general, like who's like looking out for the locals too,
Yeah.
That's always been like a really important thing. I mean, because Confest, that's what Confest always has been about, and even it has changed in large ways and sized down and lots of things like that. So, and care for my community, that's really it.
Yeah. I feel bad for the young kids that don't have it.
Right.
Or didn't have what we had, and they're only operating from a place of like, this is how it is. And meanwhile 10 years ago you're like, oh, this is not how it was.
Well, right, and I think some of that is cultural, right? Like
it might be better
generational
in other ways, but
right. I mean, I'm finding at my mic a lot of the younger people are their perspective or their way of outputting what they do completely different than us. In other words, like it's almost like starts with like a really highly produced song,
right?
That now they want to get on YouTube and get on TikTok and get the streams, and then they're playing live, and they've like clearly never played
live, yeah.
And I'm like, well, but you got 1 million plays on Spotify. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
yeah, it's interesting.
No criticism. It's like interesting.
I have no idea how that happens.
That is backwards,
Yeah,
that is backwards, a little bit from what we grew up with. Club Diversity days, with our Club Diversity, Club 202, with Billy Zan. These are all like old venues that don't. Brothers Drake doesn't even exist anymore.
I know.
Big Room doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Park Street Tavern is like still there, but it's one of the ones that is still there. I always forget about, but
right. It's different.
It's different.
It's an evolution. You just got to keep, like Bobby Lee says. Yeah. Just don't stop.
Truly. Whatever happened? Didn't they pass some kind of tax? We're not gonna get into that. Venue tax. That was.
It's been creating a lot of revenue for GCAC.
Has it? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what happened. The venue tax, not the hotel tax.
I don't know. Can't speak on that.
Yeah, I
plead the fifth.
That was a thing at one point.
Your Honor.
Well, onward and upward.
Yeah.
This is a good length. Mm-hmm. Good length of time right here. I don't know. I
was going to say anything. How do you close it up? How do you button it up?
Have a Merry Christmas. Because this will probably come out when Christmas comes around.
Yeah.
At the pace
Christmas is next week.
Yeah, we shouldn't have put any dates in here. We should have been like very...
generic.
Yeah.
Well, it's Happy New Year, but it's also the end of... Yeah.
Of what?
I mean, there are no months. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, we're coming to you in the year of 2025.
Ish.
We can at least say that. Yeah. Boy, it's cold or warm out there. We're not quite sure. I haven't been out today. I don't know. Whatever.
That's funny.
Whatever. All right. Well, that's it. That's it. All we have for today. We'll catch you on the next one. Right?
Yeah.
And stop.